to be chilling, doing some TTRPG writing. I'm running a superhero game. Oh, right, I forgot. Arm tracking. I'm running a superhero game for some friends of mine. And I figured it would be a good time to just chill, do some writing, answer questions, maybe get some input from chat. If anybody, if anybody decides to. Wrong one. There we go. Okay. I don't know why I did that. There we go. I need to actually pop up. There we go. So this is what I've got so far. This is just some characters. I've got some basic odds of being a super. So there's only about 5,000 in total across the entire global population, and only about 1,700 of them are actually like what you would consider a like a superhero. At least right now. So yeah. I'm just going to do some writing. I'm going to go over things. Here, let's see. Do I want to go over anyone? No, not really. Let's see. Who else do I want to bring up? Don't know if you can see that or not, actually, thinking about it. I'm not actually looking at my stuff. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. There we go. Just do this for now. Okay. Okay, so, I think you can see that? Yes, you can see that. Perfect. Here, I'm actually going to make infinite glitch. Hold on. Let me make that a little bit bigger so you can see better. Okay. There we go. Okay. So here, let's take a look. So Cliff Breaker. Oh, you can hear my knuckle popping. Bad habit, sorry. Let's see. So for Cliff Breaker is teacher of supers. He's 61. Whoops, I know that. Here. Yeah. Sorry, I've got another document on my other screen, so I can take a look at what I'm doing. Okay, so here. Powers developed early on in the 2006 event. So the 2006 event in this world is a event where the it's when superpowers started to happen. I'm keeping things fairly consistent with our timeline. There's a few major differences, but I figure superheroes are all about doing the right thing, being a good person because they want to be a good person, not because they're a superhero. And I figure, when could we use more good than now? You know? But the 2006 event, a bunch of people died because their powers just suddenly onset, just randomly, fully like a switch. But a lot of people's didn't. They slowly onset. So, I can hear myself. This is not a good idea. I'm gonna keep doing it anyway, though. But yeah, the 2006 event was an event where where superpowers first happened. The Starina incident is a player character background event, which turned into kind of like a big thing. I'm gonna mark that in the timeline for myself. That happened in 2018. It is currently 2031 in universe. So it's about 5 years from now. Which isn't that bad. Let me see. Who all do we have? Hold on. So Cliffbreaker is basically the he's not the superhero. He's not the Superman or All Might or anything. He's just kind of a guy. He's a teacher. Not like a teacher in school, but he teaches supers, and they focus on philosophy, like control of the self in order to control of self. It's self-discipline, it's philosophy, it's meditation, it's knowing oneself versus raw power for the sake of power, you know? So he is nigh indestructible. And then I do have a flesh crafter in the setting, which I think is really fun because I like flesh crafters. They're creepy in a fun way. I've got Echidna, Mother of Monsters. She's 59. She's the first major supervillain, as you can see in the notes. I'm just reading it off, just in case. But she's the first major supervillain. Her powers awakened at 34 while she was working as a bank manager. She doesn't really know why she does what she does, but she creates monsters and kaiju that do her bidding. She did technically die at one point, but she is biologically immortal. Um, she's biologically immortal due to her flesh crafting powers. Um, yeah. Uh, so she had her heart ripped out by Major Thunderclap, who is kind of the bad guy of the big bad guy of the setting. Um, yeah. So here. So Cliffbreaker and Thunderclap have some beef. Um, can't type and speak at the same time. It's like my one downfall. Sorry. So they have some like generational beef. Because Echidna, the flesh crafter, uh, robbed the bank she worked at. She was the manager of by turning a bunch of people into monsters and leaving in the aftermath. And Cliffbreaker showed up after the monsters got out, and he had to put them down. And one of them happened to be Thunderclap's pregnant wife. And Thunderclap doesn't understand that. He's not really capable of understanding that. He's a narcissist and an egomaniac. Thunderclap is. So it's just kind of a thing, you know. Um, no, Cliffbreaker is basically just almost indestructible and has hyper strength. So he's like stronger than even a than even someone who's got super strength. But he can't fly. He doesn't have X-ray vision, heat vision, anything like that. He's just extremely strong and almost indestructible. And he's immune to flesh crafting, and no one can figure out why, which I think is interesting. Um, So I'm just this is a personal belief of mine, but I'm going to say it anyway because it deserves to be said. Fuck ICE. Fuck anybody who is on board with that. I am a trans person. I am inherently political right now because of that. I shouldn't have to be, but I am. Yeah. I am firmly of the believer that right now they are coming for minorities, and we should absolutely be speaking up because they will come for us next. Because I've read the fucking poem. I will get political because I am trans. It is inherently political. It shouldn't be, but it is. And I get fucking tired of it. I get fucking tired of it like everybody else. I'm trans, I'm disabled. I'm mentally unwell. There's a lot. But fuck, dude. Anyway, that's a unnecessary tangent. I'm sorry. Make an outline for the game. So let's take a look. So I know where I want to start. The party is going to start in the private detention center. Major Thunderclap. Who is, again, narcissist, egomaniac. So naturally he's running for president of the United States. You know, as one does. Be the youngest president in a long fucking time. Anyway, so they're gonna start in his private detention center. extra to their gear. I forgot to mention, this is for the cipher system. So, if anybody's not familiar with the cipher system, it is a game system by Monty Cook Games. Came out in 2019, I want to say. Let me double check that. Oh, it was 2015. Oh, wow. Okay, so the revised edition was in 2018. That's what we're using. There's a new edition slated for later this year. But, that is... Okay. Wow. It is 11 years old. Goddamn. Makes me feel old. I remember when that was just coming out. So the cipher system is really interesting because your characters are described as a sentence instead of as a standard class, subclass. You have a adjective, noun, who, verbs, and each part of that gives you specific talents and abilities and everything, and skill points, and all of that. So it's really interesting to see. The game master doesn't roll dice at all. So all we do is actually tell the story and figure out what's going on. So I think that's pretty interesting. So they're going to start in Major Thunderclap's facility, and their gear will be given to them on escape because they're going to be escaping. Let's see. because I don't understand the tropes of superheroes. I get the tropes of fantasy. I get the tropes of sci-fi. I get the tropes of science fantasy. I love science fantasy. I don't get superheroes. I don't get them. And that's a me thing. I don't super understand it. I was never super big into superheroes growing up. You know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe started when I was a kid. And I enjoyed those up until... God, I got burned out on Marvel before even Infinity War came out. I think it was after Doctor Strange. So, but I understand fantasy. I understand sci-fi. I grew up on sci-fi. I grew up on hard sci-fi. So, which is interesting. So I always want there to be a reason for why something works. But in the superhero genre, there's not always a reason something works. It can be weird science, which is just magic. Basically. I don't super get it. But I do understand that well, I don't really. I was about to say I do understand that superheroes have to have superpowers, or they have to have some kind of super something. Like, they've got their superpowers, yes, but they have to have something else that makes them that makes them a superhero. They have to have something that gives them a reason to be a good person, I guess. It's the Uncle Ben, it's the John Kent, it's, yeah, I don't really know. It's, I guess I don't super understand. I know that the point of a superhero is to be good for the sake of being good. That's what it's about. Being good for the sake of being good. Being a light in the shining darkness. And it's very hope punk. And I think that's been lost a lot in Western media. Because I know, like, the best superhero movies I've ever seen has got to be... The best superhero movie I've ever seen has got to be Chris Pattinson's Batman. Because he's not just a billionaire who gets dressed up as a bat and beats up the homeless and mentally ill. He's someone who is fundamentally broken, who is trying to do good anyway. Yeah. So I don't understand the tropes about it. Like, growing up, one of my favorites was Green Lantern, at least in theory. I loved Jon Stewart. Hal Jordan is an ass. But Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a it's a learning process for me, and it's going to continue to be a learning process. That's one good thing. I'm waxing poetical here, but it's one thing that continuously surprises me is how often I push myself to get out of my comfort zone because this is not within my wheelhouse. I have been running Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, fantasy games for the last 12 years, 11 years. I've been in those games. I tried running a sci-fi one time and it was awful. Um, I, it was awful because I didn't understand science fantasy at the time, and I was trying to make it science fiction, not science fantasy, and I did not understand Starfinder as a system or as a setting because Starfinder is very much part of its setting, or at least first edition was. I don't know how about second edition, but first edition was very much part of its setting. Um, and I didn't understand the setting. So, yeah. Oh, outside neighbors are yelling. That's fun. If you can hear that, I'm sorry. I'm right next to a window. Shit, what should I name this guard? Hate coming up with names. I'm always dog shit at it. running joke in our little group is Jeremy with a G. Started with my wife, and then I just turned it into a running thing. Jeremy with a G is probably going to die, which is unfortunate. And I'm going to need a combat here in order for everybody to get a feel for the system. Everybody's tier 1. Let's take a look. So another thing that's really cool is let's go with like level 3. Level 3, 5 superhero. I don't have the Cipher System Bestiary. I can't look this up. Shit. Hold on. I'll have to get a copy later. Don't look at my messy desktop. No, I do not have that. Right now, anyway. start with guards. Okay, okay, I know what to do. You're gonna be level 3, so they're gonna have 15 HP. They're going to defend at level 4 and attack at level 4, which makes sense because they're gonna have, you know, like guns and shit. And they're gonna have our body armor. So they're gonna be kind of standard people. I figure standard people are gonna be level 3, have a few hit points, be able to take a few hits, but they're not going to be nearly on the scale of a super. So that should make that makes sense to me. I'm gonna say 4 guards. Guards at the gates. I think that makes sense. I'm looking over my player characters. Jesus. I just read my wife's character sheet. She made a hell of a bruiser. Know how much damage they deal. They attack at level 4. Yeah, so the guards are only going to have pistols because, again, this is the... Okay, it doesn't super make sense, but it's okay. It's superheroes. They don't have to make sense. sudden. I'm sorry. Um, I'll try to stream again on Tuesday if I'm doing okay. I'm sorry. My brain is just going places it shouldn't go. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm not thinking about doing anything dangerous or anything like that. It's just I'm having some flashbacks all of a sudden. So I gotta take care of that. Um, yeah. Thank you for stopping by if you did. Um, I